What's up, everybody? I'm back with another video, and today I kind of want to touch on a subject that I feel like somebody needs to hear this, so I just want to give a little bit of my background, and what kind of led me to do all this. So, 2015, the father of my oldest two children, their biological father, was murdered. Now, his dad is still fighting the case. They ruled it as accidental suicide. It's just a big mess. So, was a very, very tragic time for me. It's still kind of a blur. But yeah, so he was murdered. And, you know, that was a huge turning point in my life. He was only 25, which, he would have been 25 that year. But it was really sudden and unexpected. And, when you go through something like that, it like literally changes your world upside down. Then you have to explain to other people what's going on. You have a million people asking you questions, messaging you. It's crazy. You don't really expect to ever really experience stuff like that until you're going through it. So, what really got me in tune with my spiritual side and helped me connect with my spiritual side was actually his death. After he had died, I did a lot of research about what happens when you die and the afterlife, where do you go? And I've never been a huge like religious person in general. Still am not. I don't really keep myself in a box. I don't really define myself as anything. Believe in free will. I believe in a higher power, God, angels, spirit guides. I believe we're here for a purpose. So, yeah, so I kind of did some research and I actually went and spoke to a psychic medium, and she's like, yeah, you are actually an empath, and that's why you're so able to connect so well with everything around you, why you can feel things that are going on. So that's when I discovered that I was an empath. So once I discovered that, I did my research on that. And the more you learn about yourself, the easier everything becomes. You start to see things more clearly, why you do things that you do, why you are the way that you are, why you feel certain ways, you know what I mean? Because I take on feelings that aren't even mine, and sometimes it's really hard to distinguish what I'm feeling, what somebody else is feeling, if I'm taking on the energies of somebody else or not. And sometimes it's real distinct, like I know if it's mine or if it's somebody's else, but most of the time it's kind of hard to balance it because you don't really know. So that's how I came about finding out that I'm an empath. And growing up, I've always had intuitive abilities, and I've known that since I was little. Experiencing some of the things that I've experienced when I was little, it all made sense once I figured that out. So, all in all, my message is really to turn or pain into power. So, nobody expects to lose someone that soon, at that young of an age, you know what I mean? So, it literally turns your world upside down. But you know what I mean? Not everything bad that happens to you is going to remain negative. So I believe that I took a lot from that incident, and I've grown so much from that incident, and I've healed so much from that tragedy that it has made me who I am today, and why I'm able to sit here and talk to you guys on my channel about a lot of the things that I know, and why I am so in tune with who I am now stems from, a tragic place. So I know we have things that happen to us that are very hard. And at the time, we don't understand how we're going to get through it, but we're going to get through it. We always do. We're strong people, okay? Humans are very strong, and I feel like we don't give ourselves enough credit for that because we deal with so much bullshit. You know what I mean? But everything that we go through has a reason for it. No matter how bad it is, it's always, always, always for a reason. We deal with a lot of karmic lessons in life, and the reason why we go through the certain things that we go through is to make us who, to form us into who we're truly here, our purpose on earth. And I truly feel like, and I hate saying this because I don't mean to say it this way, but if it wasn't for his passing, I don't feel like I would have pursued my dream, what I feel like I'm called to do in life. I feel like that kind of pushed me into it because I had so many questions and so many unanswered prayers, and you know what I mean. And it was such a hard time in my life that, I mean, I truly don't think that I would be where I'm at without that happening. Um, so yeah, I turned my pain into power, and I'm here able to talk to you guys about doing that. You know what I mean? Trust your gut instinct. Whatever you feel called to do, do it. And sometimes, unfortunately, we have to go through very hurtful time in order to gain power. You have to go through the pain, and you know what I mean. It's hard, and at the time, it's hard to understand that. It's hard to see that. But honestly, if we haven't gone through all the pain that we go through, we wouldn't have learned some of the lessons that we were supposed to learn in order to gain the power that we have. And I truly am a firm, firm, firm believer that everything that happens is for a reason. No matter how tragic it is, or how mind-boggling it can be, and we don't understand why is this happening. You know what I mean? Some of the karmic lessons that we go through here in this time are not from this lifetime. They're from past lifetimes. And that has a lot to do with not being able to understand why we're going through the certain things that we're going through. If we feel jaded, or, you know what I mean? I do a lot of good things. There is no such thing as good and bad. Those are just human terms, okay? There is no such thing as negative and positive, and that's hard to grasp. Even for me saying it is so hard for me to grasp because, you know what I mean, all of our upbringings, you know what I mean, positive, negative, that's the way we're wired. But really it's light and dark, and without the dark you can't have light. Okay? So still something that I'm still trying to fathom myself, because it's, you know what I mean, it's hard. We are physical beings, so we are trained a certain way and we are taught a certain way. And you know what I mean, once you start learning these things when you're older, it's hard to, kind of grasp. So, like I said, I'm not fully there with fully understanding that, but I'm getting there. It's a weird concept to go by because that's how we relate a lot of things that we go through. Is positive, is negative, oh they're bad or they're good. You know what I mean? There's really no such thing as good and bad, positive, negative. There's light and dark, and like I said, without the dark you don't have light. So I'm still not there with her without understanding that. So turn your pain into power. Without the dark, you wouldn't have light. We go through so much here on earth, and it is all for a reason, I promise. Like everything that we go through is for a reason, for the greater good of ourselves, to push us to be who we need to be, to fulfill our purpose here on earth. You know what I mean? So we're not coming back in another lifetime and having to do these lessons and relearn all these karmic lessons that, you know what I mean, we're supposed to be here to learn. And a lot of cycles are ending right now, and I just hope that all of us are ending those cycles and not restarting those cycles once they've ended. Pluto is in retrograde right now, so this is a huge time for making movements, career wise, love wise, you know what I mean, to make things happen. Full moon in Scorpio this week. Shout out to all my water signs. I'm excited about that. I would definitely be doing a full meditation on full moon. So a lot of things that you're dealing with, you know what I mean, you'll work through meditation, especially on a full moon, because it kind of brings everything that's in dark to light. Definitely, definitely, definitely make sure you're meditating on this full moon. Scorpio, we're very intuitive, very emotional beings. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of you guys are, a lot of emotional baggage is coming up for a lot of you guys this week. It makes sense because we have a Scorpio on full moon, and Scorpios are very, like I said, very emotional, very powerful, very intuitive. Turn your pain into power. Everything that you go through is for a reason. It's never going to be a situation where it was pointless to go through that. You feel like you've wasted time. There's no such thing. You never waste time. Okay, time is not a thing. Everything is timeless. There's no such thing as time. So anything that we're going through here on earth is just for the greater good, to make us who we're supposed to be. I mean, I have experienced death my whole life, and you would think that experiencing it, it gets easier, but it really doesn't. No one ever really prepares you for stuff like that. And no matter how much research you do or anything, it's nothing can ever prepare you for death, okay? Rather you know it's going to happen or you don't know it's going to happen. I mean, the impact is still going to be a lot. So when I was elementary school, I lost my first puppy. And I know that probably sounds stupid to you guys, but that was really, really, really tragic to me. Like, that was hard. That was my first dog. And the way she died was just so, like, I'm not going to get all into it, but it just, I felt real like a hole was missing when she died. And I had a really hard time. I was only like 8 or 9, so I really, really struggled with it. And I cried about it a lot. And then I want to say fourth grade, my brother passed away to suicide, my stepbrother. So going through that, then one of my classmates had died due to suicide, and he was only, I mean, like, I think I was like 12, maybe, no, I was probably like 10 or 11 when that happened. And then he passed away. So going through that, and then speed up to my seventh grade school year, my best friend David passed away in a car accident. And that, I don't know why, but that was the first like real death in my life that I think I had ever felt true pain, true agony, because that was like my best friend. We hung out all the time, you know. And that was very tragic for me. You know what I mean? We was in the seventh grade, and you don't, it's so hard to explain when you're that young what you're feeling anyways. So I feel like trying to comprehend everything at that age is just, I mean, it's, I can't even explain it now. And I'm 28, you know, but eighth grade year, lost another friend to suicide, which I don't, that within itself was hard, you know, going to his funeral, watching his mom, you know what I mean? It just, it's a lot, it's a lot to deal with. And like I said, I've experienced it from such a young age that it's just mind blowing how life is and how tragic it can be, you know what I mean? Because like from a young age I experienced all that, and it's still, I mean, still there's always a part of you that never like truly heals from that. You can move on, you get used to it, but there's never, you never truly heal from stuff like that because they, it's so impactful on your life. Those are like true, that's true pain. You know what I mean? And I don't think you ever really heal from that. And I mean, that's just my opinion. But yeah, so that happened. Fast forward to graduating high school, I went through real bad depression, dropped weight to like 90 pounds. I was barely eating. I was crying every day, and I had anxiety like really bad. Um, I mean, it was terrible, like terrible. And so when I went through my depression, my anxiety like skyrocketed. Um, and it was really bad. They tried different medicines. Medicine didn't work. You know, I wasn't as spiritual as I am now, and I would have known then medicine wasn't going to do nothing for me. That's an illusion. You can literally hear yourself with your brain. You don't need medicine to do it, but you know what I mean? So went through depression really bad. It was like 3 months. You know, I didn't want to live no more, but I didn't want to die. So I was at a crossroads. I didn't really understand what was going on. I was going through a lot of change, and it just was a lot. So I ended up, you know, healing from that, coming out of that. And, you know, that stuff scars you. You live with that stuff, and that stuff is hard to kind of balance out once you feel better, because there was always that thought in the back of my head whenever I'd be too happy, like, you're too happy, you need to calm down. Like, this can change in an instant. You don't need to be happy. You need to calm down a little bit. And, you know, I mean, I lived like that for a very long time because of that little voice in the back of my head saying, you've been through the worst and you can go back there. So don't be too happy, you know, which is a false mask that my ego was putting up for me, because of my anxiety, my fear of going through it again, because it was hard. It was scary to go through, to deal with your thoughts and to feel like you don't want to live no more. Like it's a very lonely, lonely feeling. Like even talking about it makes me want to cry right now. But yeah, like no one prepares you for that stuff. You know what I mean? Some things you have to go through, and once you get through them, then you understand it. And it sucks that it is that way, but that's just the way that life works. That's how we learn our lessons. Um, but yeah, so after that had happened, my grandma passed away, and I. It's so crazy because part of being an empath, I feel like I was prepared for my grandma's death. Like I kind of knew how she was going to pass because she had to get hip surgery, okay? And once she got her hip surgery, I'm like, Mom, don't do the hip surgery because she's going to make it through the hip surgery, but she's not going to make it through recovery. Because I was in medical assistant school, and we was learning about all that stuff, and that was one of the things that we learned. The elderly, they don't pass from the actual surgery, they usually pass in recovery. So that was one of my concerns, and I kept telling my mom and my uncle, like, I don't think we should get the surgery because I just have a bad feeling about it. And the doctor's telling her, oh no, she'll be fine. And not to knock any doctors, but money. So they went through with it, and she was fine. And I remember I was riding in the car one time, and I told whoever was driving to pull over, and I'm like, I can't breathe. Like, I need to call. Like, I literally felt like I couldn't breathe. And I was like, I need to call my mom. So I called my mom, and I'm like, Mom, is Grandma okay? Because I can't breathe. Like, something's wrong with Grandma. And she's like, no, Grandma's fine. Speed up a week later, a week or two later, my grandma passed away from pneumonia because the oxygen that she was on in recovery was up too high, and it caused pneumonia, and that's what killed her. Okay, I can't make this stuff up. Like, that to me was insane, that I felt that happening, that I knew that was going to happen. You know what I mean? To feel it. You know what I mean? Part of being an empath, I didn't understand at the time because I didn't know that's what I was. I didn't know that's why I was experiencing what I was experiencing. So yeah, it was really, really, really weird to go through. But before my grandma had passed, actually my uncle had passed away. My uncle, by marriage, which blood would have never made us any closer. But so he had passed right before my grandma. So it was crazy. It has been a lot of tragedy. You know what I mean? A lot of tragedy. But I truly feel like where I am now, I understand a lot of it, why I went through a lot of what I went through, why I felt certain ways that I felt. You know what I mean? It was all for a greater cause. But at the time, we don't see it like that. It's hard to see it like that because we're in pain. And when you're in pain, it's hard to feel any other kind of emotion when you're like that because you're drained, you're emotional, you know what I mean? You're tired, so it's really, really hard to go through that. And then when I lost the father of my oldest two children, their biological father, that was like because he was, I don't even know what made it different. I think it was the fact that I had to explain to my two oldest children that their dad had just passed away, and they're like, what, 4 and 2 or 4 and 3. And how do you explain that? You know what I mean? My daughter was like a huge daddy's girl. So trying to explain that to your 4-year-old daughter was, that within itself, you know what I mean? I think I'm more so for them than I did myself because, you know what I mean? That's not something that you think of happening on an everyday basis. You know what I mean? You don't really prepare yourself for that, or for your kids to have to deal with that. So like I said, that kind of pushed me into my spiritual awakening, and I started it then, doing all my research and, you know what I mean, becoming more spiritual and more in tune with my ability and how to cope with my ability, because it's hard, you know what I mean? And still to this day, I still kind of struggle a little bit because, like I said, it's hard to differentiate what I'm feeling and what someone else is feeling that's around me. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm taking on someone else's feelings or not. So sometimes it's really hard to differentiate that. But yeah, that really pushed me to cope with my ability and learn about my ability and deal with the triggers of my anxiety because of it. I still deal with anxiety. Um, I don't claim it. I need to stop saying my anxiety. That is one thing that I learned. You don't claim it. It's not yours. When it's something like that, don't claim it. It is not yours. If it's not helping you be better, it is not yours. So anxiety, I deal with anxiety. And a lot of that comes from my ability because, like I said, I don't know why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling or if even what I'm feeling is mine. So, that probably will still be a struggle for me. But I get stronger every day dealing with it. So, yeah, turn your pain into power. Everything that we go through is for a reason, whether we like it or not. Sometimes we go through really positive things and we're like, oh, I'm so blessed. And then, we go through this bad time and we're like, it's like we throw everything that we have learned from it out the door because we're hurting. But, we have to try and remain as humble as we can because it is all for a reason. We don't understand it now, but eventually we will. We signed up for this. Unfortunately, we all have soul contracts, which I kind of want to touch more base on in another video. But, we come into this lifetime knowing the obstacles that we're going to deal with. And, we all have free will. So what decision we decide to make is what our outcome is going to be. So, law of attraction. If you look at a situation being bad or negative in physical term, that's what you're going to get. That's what you're putting into the universe. If you focus on something that is not serving you, you're going to get more of that. If you feel like, oh, I'm so alone, this pain, I can't deal with it. This pain is just so bad. It's going to get worse. That is what's going to happen because that's what you're telling yourself. That's what you're telling the universe. So that is what the universe is going to give you, what you're attracting. If you go into a situation thinking, this is for a reason, I understand that. What's supposed to happen will happen. It's going to be nothing but positive vibrations from here on out. You know what I mean? That is what the universe is going to give you. The universe knows no better. You tell the universe how you perceive things, not the other way around. So what you perceive things to be is what they're going to be because that's what you're telling it. So yeah, turn your pain into power. I know it's hard to see it in the moment, and I'm not saying to when something bad happens to be like, oh, I'm so happy. That's not what I'm saying. You have to feel it, embrace it, get through it. It's hard. Trust me, I know I've struggled with it. I still struggle with it. But you will see the other side, okay? You will get through it as long as you trust yourself. And that is what you tell yourself. I am strong. I am going to get through this. Nothing is going to get in my way. This pain is going to turn me into a beautiful butterfly. Whatever whatever you give the universe is what it's going to give you. So just take everything that is happening to you and make it into power. Turn it into power because that is when you become who you are supposed to be on this earth. And that is going to be when you figure out what your purpose is. Don't give up on that. Don't give up on yourself. You deserve better. Okay? So turn that pain into power and don't let anything stop you. Tell the universe how you want your life to be. You choose what path you're going to take. You choose what life you want for yourself. You have to be it before you can have it. Okay? I learned that the other day from a YouTuber named Aaron Dottie. Very insightful. He's very, very good at what he does. I would highly recommend watching him if you have not already. You have to be it before you can have it. Speak it into existence. This is who I am. This is what I'm going to do with myself. That pain does not define me. It has made me into the person that I am now, the powerful person that I am now. So turn that pain into power. Don't let nothing that does not serve you get in your way. Tell the universe how you want your life to be. Okay? And that is what it's going to be. You literally are in charge of your own life. There are some things that we're going to go through that we don't have control of. But how we react to those is what is going to define us. Okay? Love and light. Hope you guys enjoyed this message. Like, subscribe, share, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Bye.